You know, Omnia did this video on the Rosa call about a month and a half ago, and it is not very good. Now, I want to get a few things out of the way. First off, I am not defending anything that occurred in this call through doing this commentary. Best as I can tell, everybody involved thinks the actions were abhorrent, and I agree with that stance. In the same regard, I am not defending any of the individuals in this call from anything unless directly stated otherwise. The only real reason this video exists is because I think Omnia's commentary is bad. Second off, I'm going to be cutting out quite a bit, given a large chunk of this video is just Omnia watching the call and then reacting by going, "Oh my god, that was terrible." And don't get me wrong, a lot of the clips they show do see people saying some pretty abhorrent things. I won't deny that. However, it doesn't make for a very entertaining commentary. I'll show a couple of clips to explain what I mean, but take this part as an example, where somebody says something and Omnia's entire reply is to repeat what they just heard in an indignant and mocking tone.
You were possibly either trying to make people feel bad for you, or you were faking it, or genuinely, and this is my 1% thought, you may have had a panic attack and it was just very small and you were able to calm down it with one deep breath. Yeah, not gonna agree with that, with the latter. I'm gonna assume you probably faked it or tried to act like an anime protagonist.
Yes, because apparently acting like an anime protagonist or faking your panic attacks are more likely than actually having the panic attack. Actually having the panic attack, that's like a 1% chance. Like, there's no fucking way that she actually had a panic attack. Duh, stupid!
But don't you worry, that is not the only way Omnia has to express disapproval. At one point, it just cuts to them being silent, I guess.
What is going to make you change and do something about Necopon now? I'm just wondering, what are you going to do now?
I just get the feeling I need to tell Rebecca that after this video is done, I need to tell her to do this Necopon video.
She should have dropped it and gone after Necopon years ago. I think it's too late to try to tell Star you need to do a Necopon video. It's too late because there's nothing she can do right now to absolve herself. You see, there's a reason why a lot of predators get away. It's because weak-willed pieces of garbage like you are more interested in your own comfort than doing what's right.
Look, I get the point is supposed to be more than likely that Lio exhibits that same behavior, but do you have any reason to believe that? Do you have any explanation for why you believe that? Do you have anything? Also, regarding this text blurb, the person who Lio said could not be redeemed in that clip isn't in this call. Lio was talking about Rebecca, not Rosa. This reads as you asking why Lio has somebody in a call when a different person can't be redeemed. Anyway, speaking of silence, here's a clip from Omnia.
Please. It's just...
I asked a simple question.
I'm genuinely asking.
It goes somewhere. Rosa, this question that I'm asking you goes somewhere.
This isn't helping what I'm trying to tell y'all.
You may want to start answering because, like, you don't want to keep hearing muffled screeching from the old man.
Just...
By the way, you've had quite a few seconds of silence and you've not said anything.
I'm not gonna lie, after having to dissect this shit for like hours and hours and hours, because it's 4 hours in total, I actually prefer the silence, so if y'all could just like stay like that for the rest of the call, that would be great.
You see, the joke is that Omnia dislikes what these people say, and therefore would rather have it so they weren't saying anything if possible. And they are communicating this point after somebody in the call specifically made note of the lack of verbal communication that was occurring over the past couple of seconds. Other clips from Omnia in this video include, but by no means are limited to, "I bet you thought of that ahead of time. Also, your accent can be imitated."
Okay, why did it take you so long to even answer that? How old are you?
Why would you care about this?
I asked you a simple question. Can you not count that high?
Did you rehearse that? Like, Are you proud of that one? Did you like think about that one in your head before you said it? Can you not count that high?
And you want to sound like a mean girl? Well, joke's on you. You stuttered a little for like a second while saying something.
Rosa, are you looking it up in the dictionary?
Girly pop, if you want to be Regina George so bad, you want to be a mean girl so bad, could you at least be eloquent? I don't think you have the vernacular you think you possess. If you're gonna be a mean girl, at least say your fucking line without stuttering, okay?
Now, the whole video is full of quips like this, and to speak personally, I didn't find them funny, albeit humor is subjective, so that might just be me. With that said, I do think Omnia should at the very least space these out more. Because consistently, whenever it cuts to these, I'm just left feeling like I watched another pointless interjection. And that's not even getting into parts where I honestly don't see the purpose. I don't even mean that I don't get what Omnia is trying to communicate, although there are parts of the video like that, and I will discuss a few of them. I mean more I don't get why Omnia decided it was worth putting in. Take this interjection as an example.
Okay, as I said, Rosa, I'm 23 and you're 30, gonna be 31. Like, you're older than me, and yet you're not acting or sounding like an adult. I'm more of an adult than you.
This is Leia, artsy Leia. I don't know her fucking name. She is a piece of work. You'll see what I mean.
I mean, I'd hope so. It'd be kind of weird for you to spotlight that and for it to never materialize in any way. Also, what was the point in saying this? Some of these quips don't even make any sense, like this one.
While we're on the topic of PTSD and mental disorders,
I already know this is gonna be so bad. This is gonna be so bad.
I mean, I'd hope so, given you already mentioned watching this call beforehand and are currently doing a video on why it was so bad. Plus, the person who was talking in that clip is somebody you highlighted as an especially egregious actor. And honestly, that's one of the more notable issues with the video. Even if everything Omnia said was 100% factually true, this video would still be a slog due to how redundant it gets after a while. This video is 77 minutes long, and it really didn't need to be that length given the lack of substance to what's said. But either way, let's get into this and talk about some more specific claims Omnia made.
In light of recent evidence being publicized, it is alarming to be confronted with the revelation that Peaches does not at all practice what she allegedly preaches. The main piece of evidence that gives credence to this sentiment is the main subject of this video, the Rosa Ray Ramsey call.
What do you mean by recent? Because the screenshot you show sees a recording of the call which was up for a month. And although this is anecdotal, I remember very clearly it being previously hosted on a channel of a guy named Dibrose before he deleted his whole channel after he was ousted for being a predator. Although I don't have the date of the original upload, I do have a message from Queen Seraphina confirming that Dib was ousted on October 8th. So the call, logically, had to be uploaded before that point. Now this video was uploaded in March, or 5 months after Dibs' channel, which originally had the call, was deleted, so this is not new by any stretch of the imagination, and calling it recent is just a bizarre choice on Omnia's part. Fuck, Lyle addressing it isn't even a new development, given he discussed it in his video on Conundrum, which was uploaded roughly half a month before Omnia's video was.
He cited something else as an excuse to not get in call with me, and that would be the final call I had with Rosa Ray Ramsey. This is a call that happened over a year ago, and is only being brought up now because of freaks and dishonest actors, one of which just admitted that they did so for money. So here's the long and short of it, and it was addressed in full last year. The way that call devolved and the ableist, awful things I said and allowed was not okay. It was not acceptable. It was wrong, and I apologize for that. I was in control of that room and that call at the time, so the responsibility is mine. The day after that call, Rosa was sent direct apologies and the entire way we run calls was completely restructured. such as the fact that the audience has no ability of their own to jump into a call, and any mockery of people over things they can't control are condemned and punished. Their purpose is to be as productive as possible. Longtime listeners will notice that the unpleasant language I used to have to censor out no longer exists in the past year's videos. That's because I worked to remove it from my lexicon. It takes time, as anything you've been doing for 3 decades may, but they're not words I've been using any further. Ponder herself called out that behavior directly in that call. She's still in Senate. There's a reason for that. Because change can happen. And has.
In this particular VC, Leo, Peaches, and other members of the Senate server are confronting a woman by the name of Rosa Ray Ramsey. Rosa was brought into the Senate server for a confrontation because she claimed to be friends with another YouTuber by the name of Rebecca Starlight, or Star Giant Productions. Rebecca, or more commonly referred to in the call as Star Giant, had a Discord server of her own where she had many controversies. One of these controversies revolves around her former artist, Nekopon. Nekopon is a known predator and groomer who manipulated children in Discord servers, including someone by the name of Endo. Nekopon hurt minors for years on end and remained in Star Giant's server for at least 8 months. During that time, Nekopon had the ability to groom more children in Star Giant's server, much like they did to Endo. Star Giant knew about this information and did nothing about it, stating that the evidence that existed wasn't substantial and that because Nekopon wasn't found guilty of anything in a court of law, that it wasn't a big enough deal. And of course, that is a major problem that these self-reported predator hunters want to prevent at all costs. Now, you might be wondering, why confront Rosa then? Why didn't Hopeless Peaches, Leo Convoy, and all the others who are in this call confront Nekopon herself? She's the predator after all, therefore she committed the most harm in the situation. Or maybe you're thinking, let's just say that they can't get a hold of Nekopon herself. Why didn't they confront Star Giant, the server owner, instead of Rosa? The server owner is the one who is almost solely responsible for those who are allowed in their server and what goes on in their server after all.
They tried, though. Lio specifically mentioned in a call he had on Techno's channel, also with Rosa, funnily enough, that he and several others had tried to get into contact with Rebecca only for her to duck them.
I didn't ask if she was one of your friends, but you said she is your friend. Oh, that doofus who also failed to report a child predator in her own server and consistently dodges people who want to ask about it? That person? Yeah, she did.
We didn't know we didn't know about what she was. We didn't know what this person was doing until.
What person am I referring to right now?
Until we finally kicked them out.
What person am I referring to in this case?
Nekopon?
Yeah, and to this day, Star Giant refuses to talk about it.
And by the way, Lio did have a call with Rebecca when the opportunity presented itself. Meaning this complaint, and with it the implication that Lio was focusing on Rosa as opposed to Star Giant, just makes even less sense. And none of this is even mentioning things like Endo saying they want to confront Star Giant in a clip from the call that you played.
Well, now I feel like I just want to improve. I need to confront Star and tell her that...
Then tell her to come in the server. I would like that to be the first step of improvement. If Star wants to be your friend, she should be coming in the server. And I don't mean to be like that. It's just that it's so unfair that her best friend is here defending her name.
I just want her to do is just, after this abuse video, she needs to talk about the Nekopon situation.
Oh no, not talk about the Nekopon situation. I want her to talk to fucking me.
The entire call centers around the idea that Rosa was informed by Endo and other victims of Nekopon that she was currently a member in Rosa's friend's Discord server, Star Giant's Discord server, and that Rosa didn't do anything about it for months despite the information being given to her earlier. The main upset is that Rosa didn't do enough, that Rosa didn't ban Nekopon in Star Giant's server and, in effect, allowed Nekopon access to Star Giant's server and, by extension, exposed any minors in that server to a known predator.
Okay, you aren't wrong here, but that's only one of the reasons why Rosa was in hot water. Other important factors include her saying misinformation about the situation. You can even hear that in the clip I already played from Techno's stream, where she she says they didn't know about Nekopan, despite, at least according to Lio, that being untrue. And the fact that she was still buddying around with Rebecca despite knowing what she had done, which called her moral character into question, especially given the entire reason why Lio was on this stream in the first place was because Rosa had been trying to convince Techno to cover a fellow named Zaid Magenta, then a friend of Lio's, on his series Internet Horrors, when the worst crime Rosa could describe Zaid committing was being too vitriolic in his dislike of certain Star Wars movies. Anyway, I'm skipping the rest of the intro. Let's actually get into the clips of Omnia reacting to this call.
Okay, first off, there were no death threats made your way. I understand that it may have felt that way because everybody was being aggressive, quote unquote.
Yeah.
However, a lot of them were very angry because children were involved and children were hurt. And that's something that I need you to understand before we continue, okay?
Uh-huh.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
be a bitch for the rest of the fucking call. No, but like in all seriousness, you'll see what I mean. If you have not watched this call yet, trust me, you're gonna understand what I mean in a second.
Look, if you haven't already seen the video, just know that Omnia will elaborate on their points as the video continues, and therefore they are given more examples to make their claim. If you are confused at the moment, do not worry, as Omnia is going to explain in more detail as the opportunities to do such present themselves. This is a very worthwhile interjection.
I definitely remember was something that wolves coming to maul me or something like that.
Wolves coming to maul you.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
something like that. Do you want me to let you know what was said?
I guess.
Wasn't this the same conversation where he literally put a hypothetical where if he was to say that he would want wolves to maul you, it wouldn't be a death threat because he fucking can't do that?
It was
that the one?
Yeah, it felt like a threat to me.
Does he control the wolves?
I guess.
No.
Yeah, okay, now thank you for that. You can continue on. I just wanted to specify that, and I really like
convoy wolf master.
that is what is hilarious to me.
Lyle,
So you know what?
God
I'm not
damn it.
even gonna argue further on that. I just now like Rosa Ray Ramsey's headcanon that Lyle controls the wolves. You can continue on with what you were doing now.
I feel like it's so obvious that she's trying to make Rosa seem stupid so early on in the call that it's just like, she's on the spectrum and you are literally already being like, does he control the wolves? You're trying to make her look like she doesn't know what she's talking about from the get-go. It's so bad faith. I can't.
Okay, first off, you haven't actually provided any evidence that Peaches knew Rosa was on the spectrum at the time of this call. I'm not saying the evidence for this doesn't exist, by the way. I'm just saying you haven't shown it. Now, I should note that Omnia does later try to claim that Peaches should know this because they were in the first call with Rosa.
She's the first one to use an ableistic slur against someone that she is aware because she was in the first call of being on the spectrum.
I assume by first call you mean the one on Techno's channel, given that was the only other one you could be referring to, as the one on Lio's channel did not have Peaches in it. In which case, that was never mentioned at any point in the call you're talking about. Second off, what does her being autistic have to do with the point you were making? I'm not even saying there wasn't any relevance to bringing that up, however, you don't explain it. It sounds like you're saying that Peaches knew she was on the spectrum, which you haven't proven, by the way, but I'll accept for the sake of this argument, and that Peaches is trying to make her look stupid. What's the linking thread here? And how does this connect with a totally rhetorical question about Lio controlling wolves? Because it's obvious listening back that Peaches expected Rosa to answer with a no, Lio doesn't control wolves, because it's inherently a ridiculous question that was only asked to make a point. What do you mean by this? I'm genuinely really confused. Well, lucky for me, Hetty saved the day, as she made the point that Omnia was more than likely trying to say that she has trouble articulating herself and shouldn't be taken as dumb because of that. But this brings the problem of, funnily enough, Omnia's failure to really articulate that point through anything except loosely gesturing at it. Listening back with this idea in mind, I do at the very least see that Omnia is trying to claim this. However, they don't really connect these dots, nor do they explain the relevance of key things which would actually connect them. Instead, Omnia just mocks Peaches for asking if Lio controls the wolves. Which, yeah, don't get me wrong, it was a ridiculous fucking question. It was also supposed to be.
Isn't this just long ago? Just once upon a time? Isn't this just once upon a time, just long ago?
No. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right fucking there, okay? Because now I'm starting to get pissed. Now, let me talk, okay? Okay. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. What matters is that these children were scarred for life. Okay?
I get it. But
no, clearly you don't, because you're saying that it was long ago and forever and once upon a time. That's not how it works.
Y'all didn't even wait to let her say why she asked how long ago it was. Like, you're already assuming that she's saying that there's a time limit on trauma or that trauma has an expiration date. All she asked was how long ago it was and whether or not it was once upon a time, which, you know, that kind of indicates, like, where she's at right now. But regardless, the fact that you made that jump so quick says more about you than it does about Rosa, because she literally never said anything that you're getting upset about. You're getting upset at something you don't even understand that she couldn't even clarify because you wanted to interrupt her.
Okay, I won't pretend like they're being a tad presumptuous in this clip. However, you're downplaying why this conclusion was reached. The phrase once upon a time is specifically used in most contexts to describe a situation that occurred an incredibly long time ago. It's not unlike calling something ancient history, for example. And with it, you're implying it holds very little relevance to the modern world, and that in our day-to-day lives, we either don't care about it or at the very least shouldn't care about it. Now, if you think they should have assumed miscommunication over what they actually did, then I definitely see where you're coming from. However, acting like they have no real basis to come to the conclusions they did is just nonsensical.
How many years was that? Just how many years was that?
It doesn't matter how many years it's been. I was groomed 11 years ago and I still fucking remember it. So no, you don't get to sit here and say that, oh, it was long ago, once upon a time. No, that sticks with you for life. I hear you under your breath. What is it?
I just want to explain these situations.
We have given you so many chances to explain, but yet you don't. You sit there and hold your own tongue when we're begging you, pleading you to explain what the hell is going on.
I know, but as much as I'm trying to explain, but all you'll do is just keep hounding me down.
Yeah, because you're saying really damaging things when it comes to victims of child predation, of grooming. You have some really bad takes.
I'm sorry, what takes? What takes? I have yet to hear a take from her. Like, I don't even know her opinion. You're all assuming things because of questions she says or asks. She's like, how many years ago was it? Wasn't this just once upon a time, like long ago? Sure, maybe she could have reworded herself, but at the same time, I think we know the context. We are aware that she is mentally disabled, and so the way she words things might not be what someone who's neurotypical would say. Either way, like, you're assuming what she's trying to say, and I don't know what bad takes you're getting mad at her for, because I don't even know her takes, to be honest.
So you don't know what's being referred to, except you do, except you don't. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Mind you, your entire explanation of what they're referring to is literally just a repeat of your last interjection, making me wonder what the point of bringing this up even was, you still think they're being overly presumptuous and assuming downplaying when miscommunication is a more likely alternative. But you just said that, so why did you even include this interjection in the first place? And by the way, you never respond to the point being made, which essentially boils down to how long ago it occurred, not serving as a relevant detail due to the severity of the action.
Just to add on for you, Rosa, you're sat here saying that it was years ago, right? And that's your stance for why it doesn't matter.
I just don't know how many years ago that was.
That was all I was asking. Just because you're asking for a time period, therefore you think that it somehow matters.
Somehow matters for context. Somehow matters to orient the situation in her mind. I don't know. I don't know why it matters to her, but you didn't bother asking. You literally just said, oh, it's because you think that there's a timeline for trauma. You think that it gets an expiration date after 5 years. Suddenly doesn't matter anymore. That's all you guys. That's all what you think that she is trying to say by asking the question. And so you're basically getting mad at your own thoughts.
I just want to point out that it would only matter for context if, for example, these actions became less important as time goes on, or if the time period somehow made them less relevant. Essentially, it would only matter if Peach's assumption was right.
But what the heck do y'all do? Y'all just don't care about seizures and what they do, and just...
Motherfucker, I'm being tested for seizures, so shut the fuck up.
Just because you're getting tested for seizures doesn't mean that you care about the effects of seizures and what they do to Rosa.
I mean, if you're getting tested for them, the implication is you're doing so because you have seen effects of them you believe are worthwhile enough to get yourself tested for them, and possibly would like to seek treatment in hopes of making sure they don't occur again. I would say that does mean you care, to some extent. Also, Rosa didn't say people didn't care about how it affected her, just that they didn't care about them in general, and even then, you cannot tell me you don't understand the connotations of telling somebody you don't care about the thing you're currently being tested for, which essentially doubles as telling somebody they might not care about an issue they very well could have. Basically accusing the person of being both heartless and utterly nonsensical in their priorities.
Okay, I'll explain this for you, Rosa.
No, I got a better way to do it, and I'm going to do it very bluntly because now I finally have a little bit of quiet. Rosa, as much as you want to be, you are not a victim.
Just because we understand doesn't mean we care.
Thank you so much for saying that, Peaches, because once I make this video and put it out and you're sad about it because people know what kind of person you are in private and the type of person that you like to act in public is very different than how you act in private, don't come crying because while we understand, we don't care. Just like you.
Yeah, Peaches, your actions in private, like this public call in a public server, you know, because the Senate was a public server and this was a call anybody who was a member of said server could jump into, meaning this was not a private interaction by any stretch of the imagination, totally contradicts the way you act in public. Even though this is you acting in public, nothing about this quip makes any sense.
It's just that I still suffer from these PTSD nightmares.
You have a hard time paying attention, Stu? Hey, Doofus, I'm talking to you. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to sit here and let you talk over me. We have somebody in the server who goes by the name of Random Pool Guy. He's a United States Marine. That man has PTSD because he's been in war. The man's watched people die. The man's had to make sure other people were dead. You having bad dreams because of Twitter is not PTSD. You disingenuous, clout-stealing lout. You so desperately want to be a victim. It's sadistic. It's sickening. You want to fetishize some sort of literally made-up trauma because some YouTubers made mean tweets.
I don't want to be a demon, but I will because these people in this call suck so bad. I literally think that about your daughter all the time, Leo. You know that part where, you want to be a victim so bad that it's sadistic, it's sickening? Yeah, I feel like that could easily be applied to Peaches, actually. And on top of that, you're saying that go to the Iraq War, go into the Middle East right now, and that's the only way you can have trauma or PTSD. You can't have PTSD unless you fucking went through something crazy like that, right? So let's do the same thing with your little daughter, right? Can't you apply that to your daughter? What about her drama? Her hopeless Peaches drama? Is that just nothing now? Because, well, she can't have PTSD from that. She has to go to the Iraq War in order to have PTSD, right? So her drama means nothing then. It's not trauma then. She has no trauma from it. She can't have trauma from it because it's not like war. Like, she wasn't fucking random pool guy who's like a United States Marine, right? Right?
Okay, first off, Lio didn't say that Pool Guy's situation was the only way you could get PTSD, you're just strawmanning. Second off, what the fuck is the point of this interjection? You think this about somebody else in Lio's circle, or who was at least at the time in Lio's circle. Okay? And none of this is even getting into the fact that you show no evidence that Peaches has done any of the things you are accusing him of in order to make this point.
That's not a panic attack? And I should know? I have a panic attack sometime?
You have a panic attack sometime, Leia? You have a panic attack sometime, singular sometime, one time?
You know, if you're going to get onto these people for doing things like being bad faith or not properly assuming miscommunication, I'd recommend not also mocking somebody for not pluralizing a word on accident. It was clear this person meant to say sometimes, and either they accidentally forgot an S, or their mic just didn't pick up the last syllable of a word, which happens occasionally.
Tell me again, are you Star Giants fan or friend?
I just wanted to have was an LGBT friend.
Oh, they're LGBT. So they have to be collected like a Pokemon card, right? That's what you use your little LGBT friends as shields?
No.
Continue.
It's just that I've never had any friends that are LGBT.
So not only do you harbor predators knowingly, you also fetishize people in the LGBT. That's pretty cool.
That's not what Peaches meant. They were more making the point that immediately stating the reason you're friends with somebody is because they're LGBT makes it appear like you are less interested in the person because of their friendship, and more that you just want somebody who identifies a certain way to be in your social circle. That is different from merely wanting to be friends with gay people. Again, you're just strawmanning.
I'm bisexual. Do you want to become my friend? Because I would rather see you stick your hand in a blender, personally.
The point I want to cover comes after this bit, so I'm just going to skip right through it. I will say that although it isn't terrible, it drags out for longer than I really felt was needed. Albeit, that's really the only objective quality I can think of as to why I wouldn't find something like this funny. Other than that, I just subjectively didn't find it very good. But hey, you know what? That happens.
Editing Omnia here, y'all couldn't have just asked or, thought that maybe Rosa wanted some queer friends because she was queer? Because she is. She's literally bisexual. Maybe she wanted an LGBT friend because she wanted someone who she could relate to. Hello? Are we not allowed to have friends that are different than ourselves? Or even similar to ourselves? Is it bad, guys? Is it bad to want friends?
Who said that? The criticism is clearly that Rosa is bringing this up first and foremost as if it's the primary reason for the friendship occurring, not helped by the fact that this call is occurring because Rosa wanted to defend Rebecca's actions. Essentially giving those in the call the impression that Rosa is hanging out with this person regardless of their qualities as a good friend or a good human being, because of how they identify. No, there's nothing wrong with wanting friends who share your experience. There is something wrong with choosing to be friends with somebody solely on that basis while also ignoring what kind of person they are otherwise. I'll grant you it could have very well just been unfortunate implications on Rosa's part, at the very least based on what I'm hearing in this call alone. However, your version of the claim is a hyperbolized account that has nothing to do with what was originally said. That's all I want to cover. I should note this is part 1 of a 2-part video, and I imagine some people are wondering if I'm going to cover the second part, to which my only response is, if I can think of something to say about it that would make a commentary worth it, I would do so. Good night, and good luck.